What is up, Jeff? How you doing? Back
I'm
with another episode of Real Talk.
I'm good, man. How are you?
You know, NBA playoffs are finally here. Been watching as much regular season as I can, but we all know even if you love the NBA, the regular season pales in comparison to playoff basketball. It's a totally different game. Very excited to get things kicked off tonight.
Yeah, we haven't talked a whole lot of NBA. Obviously we've touched on a few different topics and stuff like that, but it's been a while. But I always enjoy talking basketball for whatever reason. Maybe it's because we don't talk it enough, or maybe because it's just I like it, which I do. But well, we're here to talk in play-in tournament, and they kick off tonight at 6:30. You're gonna have the Indiana Pacers, sorry, at the Charlotte Hornets. 6:30 TNT. That's the first of the East games. The second game will be right after it, Boston versus Washington on TNT. So obviously, if the Indiana Charlotte game runs over, Boston Washington will probably be delayed a little bit. But it's the 9-10 matchup first. Indiana, Charlotte. Who do you got here? Breaking news. I don't know if you've seen this earlier today. I know you're at work. Karis LeVert is out. So the best player for the Pacers, questionably, him or Sabonis.
Mhm.
LeVert is out. LeVert's been huge since picking him up since he's come back from injury.
Honestly, even if they did have Karis LeVert, I really like what the Hornets have done. I really like everything that LaMelo's doing over there as the rookie of the year. I think he should win it. Um, I just think they're a little bit more explosive on offense. Sabonis should have some success against the Charlotte team, but unfortunately, now that Levert is out, I don't think they have enough offense here. I like Charlotte to take this game and move on to the second round. By the way, ladies and gents, the play-in tournament's new this year. It's pretty simple when you really break it down. The 9 versus 10 will play one game. The winner advances. The 7 versus 8 seed plays one game. Winner advances. However, the loser of the 7-8 will play the winner of the 9-10 for the final spot in the playoffs. It will be 6 total games, 3 from the East, 3 from the West. They all take place this week. But I have Charlotte. What do you think?
I liked Indiana with Karis LeVert, but I think part of the reason that Charlotte's the 10th seed and not the 9th seed is just because they lost LaMelo for several weeks. They've Hayward's been out with injury at points. I like Charlotte here with a depleted Indiana roster, but the one thing about Indiana is and this has been going on for several years now, they play really hard. So it would not shock me in the slightest for a well coached, hard nosed Indiana team to beat Charlotte. But at the same token, I just like what Charlotte has brought to the table. So I'm actually with you here. I'm taking Charlotte as well. And I think ultimately that's I don't know. I just like them to move on there.
Yeah, Gordon
I don't
Hayward
know if
and
that's a smart pick, but I like it.
Gordon Hayward's, I think, still a really good player in the league. And Miles Bridges has played really well alongside
Rozier.
Lamelo.
Rozier's been
Yeah,
great.
so I just think they're a little bit deeper of a team, and it's a real unfortunate timing for the injury of Levert for the Pacers.
Yeah. Right after that, 7-8 seed. So the winner of this game will be the 7th seed in the playoffs, and they will play Brooklyn. Okay. That's Boston versus Washington, 9 o'clock. Who do you have in this one?
I think it's going to be really fun to see Kyrie and Harden versus Beal and Westbrook in the backcourt after Washington beats the Celtics tonight. There hasn't been enough consistent play out of Kemba Walker. Um, Marcus Smart's been in and out of the lineup. Unfortunately, Jaylen Brown with the ligament damage in the wrist is gone for the year. I just think that Washington's going to outscore them tonight. I do think this is going to be a shootout. I don't think there's going to be a ton of great defensive plays, but I think Boston falls short this game. I'm not going to rule them out of the next round, but I like Washington to win this game. I think they've been a more relatively consistent team over the last 2 weeks going into this game. I like the Washington Wizards.
I thought we were going to differ here, but we're not. I actually also
Oh,
am going with the Washington Wizards.
I thought we were going to differ as well.
I really think that Russell Westbrook really wants to play Kevin Durant, and people can knock him all they want, but when Westbrook doesn't score a lot and just tries to get the triple double and gets his assists, and he's been having like 15 assist games like it's his job. They're actually pretty good. They score the basketball, and Boston, on the other hand, hasn't been good. I think they've lost they've only won 6 of their last 14 games or something like that. Not good, or
Yeah,
6 of 19 games, something crazy.
I don't think the Celtics have a ton to deal with Russell Westbrook driving to the hoop. We always talk about how they're relatively small. If Russell Westbrook can get to the hoop, I think he gets a triple double. And people can say what they want about him having a lot of turnovers or whatnot. But credit to Daniel Shamo. I want to make sure I pronounced that last
You
night.
did.
You
did.
mentioned on the Facebook page when he's got a triple double, 138 wins, 46 losses. That's a 75% win rate. I think Russ does have a triple double tonight. Bradley Beal can drop 50, 40 any night. He can just turn it on. I just think Boston's they're going to be one of the biggest teams in the question, like with questions around them in the offseason. Is the coach leaving? Is this the year they split up some of their stars, try and restructure the team? I don't think Boston has a very good outing in the playoffs, and we'll get to them later. But sticking to this game, I like Washington.
Yeah, I also agree. I like what Washington's doing here. I think Bradley Beal, who though is banged up, I think will do enough. And him and Russ it's just going to be too much for what Boston is, and um,
Eh,
and it sucks because it's a team I actually think I predicted to finish third or fourth in the division or the
Yeah,
conference. I mean,
we differed on that a little bit. You were higher on them, but
yeah,
I just want to allude to you said Russ playing against Kevin Durant. I think he'd like playing against James Harden too.
that
There's a lot of
obviously that too. Yeah,
storylines, a
yeah.
lot of fun storylines. But
Anytime you can watch a game, let alone a series, and it has 3 or more All-Stars in it, this one would consist of Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Blake Griffin, and then you get Bradley Beal and Russell. It's a freaking All-Star game on the court. I'm praying for that. I've seen enough of Boston, and they're not good enough to make a run. Why not give Russell Westbrook this storyline? I love this. I'm rolling with the Washington Wizards.
yes, I too.
So we're in agreement. So we don't have to separate too much here. So it's pretty easy. That game would then Washington would move on to the 7. The 8 seed would be on the line here, and it would be Boston against the Charlotte Hornets. I'm going to start off because I feel like we're going the same place here. Boston's not going to make the playoffs.
Boston's
they're,
not going to make the
they're
playoffs.
going to fall out, and Charlotte's going to move in there unless Tatum does something
Yeah,
absolute bonkers.
you read my mind. I just wanted to say there is one X factor here. Jason Tatum does have a game with 60 this year, and he's got no one to take the ball from him. Jason Tatum is the king of the court. And, remember a few years back, I believe it was maybe the end of his rookie year when they played LeBron and the Cavs in the postseason, and they took him like 6 or 7, I think it was all 7 games, and Tatum kind of was like, is this the arrival of him? Tatum's played well in the playoffs, and, I don't want to sleep on the fact that he doesn't have to share the ball with Brown. Kemba doesn't have to work the ball. Jason Tatum's going to get shots when he wants shots and put up shots. And when he catches fire, he can score with the best of them. So I'm looking for Tatum to prove me wrong here. But if Tatum has an okay or a B plus game, it won't be enough for the Celtics to make the playoffs this year.
Wow, we are shockingly agreeing all the way through so
I
far.
thought I was going to have to fight you tooth and nail against the team.
No, we're matching up here.
And if this does come true, there's a lot of skepticism on the play-in tournament. Top 8 should just make it. They're the clear best. If that happens, we have a 7 seed missing the playoffs and a 10 seed entering the playoffs. I think that would make for good storylines. Also, maybe I'll ask you this question because I don't know. It's a shortened season. Is the play-in tournament because of the shortened season post-COVID coming into out of COVID-ish, or is this something they're looking at permanently having in the NBA going forward? I actually don't know.
I
But
don't believe it's on the docket for next year, but I think
it
it could
would be
easily
fun to
be
talk
it
about.
would easily be added. Easily be added. But they did do this just like they did last year, the play-in bubble, which I
The,
believe was
the,
only
bu-
two teams last year.
yeah, the bubble, the way they did it was just two teams. It was the 8 and the 9. They played a series of 3,
Yeah,
but
best
the
2 out of
8
3.
seed just had to win one game. The 9 seed would have had to win 2 in a row. But this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
So it is, and honestly, it's got March Madness feel to it. One game. It's one game. So we really should see some blockbusters tonight and tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, we're going to have in game 3 of this Memphis versus San Antonio. Memphis will host San Antonio at 7:30 on ESPN. We'll see where you go here, but I'm taking Memphis. I like what I'm seeing out of John Morant. I don't love San Antonio. I think they're an extremely weak team. I'm shocked they got to the 10 seed this year. I thought they were going to be worse than that. I thought the Pelicans would probably be better than they were. But I like Memphis to take over San Antonio and move on.
Yeah, this game would have been much more fun if it was New Orleans Pelicans versus the Memphis Grizzlies. However, I'm not high on either of these teams. I just feel that Memphis is too dependent on one player, that being John Morant, and he's amazing. But I'd like to give the play-in game to Greg Popovich as a coach. I don't think one guy is going to be able to beat a Greg Popovich coach team. I think they'll do enough to slow down and stop Morant by any means necessary. I like the Spurs to go forward here, but I believe no matter where you or I go, the West is going to be a little bit more boring in terms of the people we have making the playoffs. But it'll be fun to see them go through. You have Memphis, I have San Antonio. DeMar DeRozan, I still like him as a player. Greg Popovich is the coach. I'm gonna go with the Spurs.
Okay, we differ there. Game 4, 10 o'clock on ESPN. This one's going to come right after the Memphis San Antonio game. It's the Lakers hosting Golden State. We're talking 3 years ago. This was an NBA Finals matchup with LeBron versus Curry. Obviously, different circumstances now. LeBron's with the Lakers, and Curry doesn't have Clay or KD, but still fun. Lots of fireworks in this game. You can make the argument both ways that it's a mismatch game. These teams are not alike at all. I think some people are going to argue that the Lakers are a mismatch for Golden State because of their size. I think other people could argue that Golden State's a mismatch because they play small ball and you can't defend it. I'm interested to see where you're going here.
Lakers, Warriors, 10 o'clock Eastern time. If you've got to be up for work before 9 a.m., just don't even bother watching this game. Lakers by 10 plus. I truly believe Curry could score 45 points and they would still lose by 10 plus. I think the Lakers are way too big. They're going to dominate in rebounds. They're going to dominate in second chance points. And they're also probably going to have many more free throws than the Warriors. This game is going to be too slow for what the Warriors like to do. Wiggins, Oubre, way too inconsistent. Wiseman's hurt. Drummond, LeBron, Anthony Davis, KCP, Kuzma. They're just too big, I think, for this game. I've got the Lakers. That's no disrespect to what the Warriors have done. Curry's been amazing, but it's postseason. It's the Lakers. We know that the Lakers aren't a 7 seed. They should be way higher. They were injured all season. And the Warriors, they fought tooth and nail to achieve the 8 seed. Their differences will be shown, in my opinion. Still love watching Steph Curry, but I don't think this game will live up to the hype that it looks like at the 7-8. I've got the Lakers winning by 10 plus.
I think this is a closer game than that. I think this is an extremely fun game. Whoever, the funny thing about this is so LeBron James said that we need to fire the play-in person. Yet this is what the play-in person wanted. he
Yeah.
wanted a matchup like LeBron versus Curry. I mean, I don't think anybody
Even the
thought they were getting
Celtics
that.
Washington one, that's fun.
Yeah,
That's a good matchup.
that is a good matchup. So I think the Lakers win this one for many of the reasons that you pointed out. I think that the Lakers can do several things with their bigs. They got Gasol, they have Drummond, they have Davis. They can really move in and out. If Drummond's a bad matchup and isn't able to step out, they can bring in Gasol, or they can just play LeBron down low at the 4 and move Davis to the 5, and they can get small. So they can do the things that I don't think the Warriors can do. The Warriors can't get big. The Lakers can get small. Lakers take it, but I think Curry's huge in this game, and it'll be fun for 4 quarters. That's why I will disagree that it's going to be 10 plus, but 10 plus could turn a game like that. So
Right.
we differ here. So you got San Antonio versus Golden State. That game will be Friday. Who you got?
Like I said, Greg Popovich is good enough coach to stop a one-man team, but this is Steph Curry. I'm not going to go against Steph Curry. Playoff, last chance to make the playoff. This is partially for his legacy. Can he carry a team by himself? I think it's been answered for most, yes. Coming into the season, can he do it? There's no way this team has any business even being at the 8th spot without Curry. Colin Cowherd pointed out when Curry's on the floor this year, they're a top 10 offense. When Curry's not on the floor, they're 2-11, and they're the worst offensive team statistically in the last 5 seasons. So that's an incredible jump by only one guy. I really like Golden State because I'm not going to bet against Curry with a team I think that isn't as good. So if we have 2 teams that both I don't feel are good, one has Steph Curry, I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, I got Memphis versus Golden State here, and
That'll
I
be
really
fun.
like what John Morant can do, but it ain't enough.
It
Curry
was actually, wasn't it just last week? It was to secure, or no, it was a couple days ago, just to
was like
secure the
2 days
8th
ago,
seed. They played each other as
and
Curry Morant.
Curry went for 46.
Just,
I think he took a career high 22 3-pointers too in the game.
and he's allowed to.
He's
No
allowed
one's
to.
mad at that.
And he was pulling them up from literally everywhere, and he's hitting them from everywhere. Unfortunately, the thing is, I could be and both of us could be wrong that Golden State loses to the Lakers. Curry could explode in that game. But if he doesn't in that one, he will most definitely explode in the second one. He's getting his team to the 8th seed no matter what, however it's done. Fight, tooth, nail, whatever he's got to do. He's going to get there. So, as it sits right now, both of us have Utah versus Golden State. Do you think Golden State can give Utah a run?
I don't. Utah is so deep, so good. They've really started the season hot, and they've just rolled all year. I think Utah, like you said, Curry going off gives them a chance to win, and that's the only way they can win. Utah has 3, 4, 5 different ways in a game that they can win: big, small, outside, inside. They have a defensive player of the year candidate down low in the rim, and no one's there to really compete with him. I think Utah would overwhelm the Warriors. Although, if the Warriors beat the Lakers and then the Lakers win the second game and it's Lakers Jazz, that would be an intensely fun matchup. But I think the Utah Jazz. I don't even think I'd give Curry one game. I think the Utah Jazz would sweep the Warriors.
I'd give Curry one, but I think Utah is just too much. Much for the same
Fair.
reason that I just said about the Lakers. Golden State just can't get big. And Utah has size. They have Gobert, and they just don't have. I think it's a bad matchup all around. I think Utah is good enough to beat Golden State, and probably pretty handily, probably 4-1. If Curry goes absolutely nuts, he might get a second game, but I can't see them getting 3. We also have the Lakers matching up against Phoenix there. Don't know where you sit on this, but I think this is an absolute nightmare for the Phoenix Suns. A team that literally went from pretty much abysmal for 4 or 5 years to getting CP3 and being considered a threat in the West. Spoiler alert: if the Lakers get to the 7th seed, they're sweeping the Suns.
Ooh. I have it 4-1. Lakers opposite. I'm going to give them a game, but It'll be fun to see LeBron versus Chris Paul, but Suns were still fighting for a 1 seed, and they had a chance to make the Lakers lose, so maybe they wouldn't have to see them if they won in the first round. And Anthony Davis goes for 42, 12, and 5, does whatever he wants to DeAndre Ayton. And they bury the Suns. DeAndre Ayton played 33 minutes, had 6 points, 6 boards. I mean, he was a no-show, and Anthony Davis demolished him. Andre Drummond again had 10 boards. No LeBron. What's that?
4-0. It's going to be a sweep.
The Phoenix Suns have been a good team. Chris Paul hasn't had the success in the playoffs. Devin Booker can explode on the offensive end. But I could also see them being up 2-0 or 3-0 and potentially resting an Anthony Davis or LeBron or minutes restrictions, or maybe they just naturally get hurt. So health is always going to be an issue for the Lakers, but without LeBron James, I mean, Anthony Davis and LeBron don't sacrifice anything in their game when the other one's on the floor. They get what they want whenever they want. And Anthony Davis, I mean, there was nobody even put roadblocks up. He was just running down an open road against them. I think the Lakers would win pretty big.
Yeah. Let's see here. Shifting back over to the East, we have the Washington Wizards getting the the 7th seed. We talked about this being pretty much an all-star game on the court. Wizards, Brooklyn. Brooklyn don't play any defense. Can the Wizards upset them?
Neither team from the play-in tournament has a chance in the second round. Both Brooklyn and 76ers roll. I don't even care who they play. You could take any one of those 4 teams from the play-in tournament and put any of them against the 76ers or the Nets, and I wouldn't give them a game. They might get one. I wouldn't know how, but this is where someone would say the play-in tournament doesn't matter because the 76ers or Brooklyn, they're mopping them up. So we can start there. Washington versus Brooklyn. No, they don't get a game unless injuries, which we don't predict those on here. Yeah. So even if it's just Durant and Kyrie, because I don't know where Harden's at with his hamstring, even if it's just those two, forget about it. Brooklyn's got they are nuclear offensively, and both Boston and Washington are not good defensively. So,
yeah,
this is not a team that will test the Nets.
Okay. We both had Charlotte going up against Philly. You pretty much already said it. I think that's an extremely fun series, but it's an extremely fun 4-0 sweep. I agree with you. I don't think that's I disagree. I think Washington would get a game, potentially 2 against the Nets, because they do not play defense. They don't. And if Bradley Beal's getting 45 and Russ is going for a high triple-double, and all of a sudden Kyrie's off for the night, there's a chance. The other series, though, I just don't think. First off, Philadelphia, and you may have called this to begin the season.
Preseason, I had 76ers Lakers in the finals.
76ers are a dominant team. This is the best 76er team. Definitely under Joel Embiid, 100%. It's not close. This is a very good, good basketball team.
I said it before the season. Under Doc Rivers, Tobias Harris is a completely different player.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons has been playing lights out even without shooting the 3. But where they get the 3 ball is Seth Curry and Danny Green. They have all the role players. And forgive me if I missed one, but if you were to say best centers in the game, you'd say Embiid, Jokic, Gobert, Drummond, or Anthony Davis, maybe. Again, maybe Porzingis, but they're all in the West. Embiid's all alone. There's no center that can even touch him.
Giannis is the only big, and he's a power forward.
Correct. So I just think there's other ways to beat them, sure. But I already have money on it. I'm not going to tell anybody else to. But I believe the 76ers come out of the East, and I've said it before the year, and there's no reason for me to waver. That's a little bit far ahead than what we're saying right now. But the Charlotte Hornets would not beat Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is a monster defensive team as well. And, there's less called plays or fouls in the playoffs. I really like the 76ers. Again, no team from the play-in tournament, no matter how it shakes out, has a chance against Brooklyn or Philadelphia.
Yeah. We got some time here. You want to go over the rest of the matchups?
Yeah, we can briefly touch on them. I'm here for it.
Okay. Let's stay in the East since we're both feeling Philadelphia and Brooklyn. Knicks and Hawks. I think this is a fun series because of what Bogdanovich has been able to do with the Hawks, and he's really starting to turn it on. Trae Young's been great. The Knicks, though,
They're fun.
nobody called this. I mean, this just came out of left field. I mean, they
No
had
one
a
saw
Derrick
Julius
Rose.
Randle's season coming.
No. Well,
Or
Randall's
the
been a
trade.
good player. Randall's
Yeah,
been a good player. He's
he
been a
hasn't been what
great
he was
player this
this
year.
year. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's been
been
a great player.
unbelievable. And that Derrick Rose trade, like you were about to mention,
Yeah, Derrick
paid
Rose
off.
paid off, and RJ Barrett's been good. Where are you going here? Knicks winning a playoff series?
Knicks are winning a playoff series.
Okay.
I think this was the only team in the East out of the top 6 that they could have matched up with that I would have thought they would have won. I wouldn't have taken them against Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, maybe the Heat. We'll get to that later, but I think they match up well against the Hawks. But I think this is one from, if you haven't really watched the regular season, or you're just a playoff watcher, you look at the 4-5 and you're like, Knicks Hawks, like it's just because of the East. That series is going to suck. I think we could look back at the first round of the playoffs, and that can be one of the closest. I actually see 7 games written all over this one. I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be really fun from the neutral perspective to watch this game. I've got the Knicks coming out on top, though.
I wish I would have looked at my predictions before the season started. I knew I had the Hawks somewhere between the 5, 6, 7 range. I know I didn't have them at the 8 seed. I liked what Trae Young was going to be able to do this year. Obviously, they added Bogdanovich during the season, and that's been huge. Atlanta will make this fun, but the Knicks are winning the series, I think. And I think it's probably in 6. Could definitely go 7. My prediction's probably 6. I just think the Knicks are just too much defensively for Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't play a lot of defense. They're really high scoring. They hit a lot of threes. Well, if someone's up in your face, you can't be hitting threes. So we'll see. We'll go down to the 3-6. This was a rematch from last year's Eastern Conference Finals, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bucks Heat 3-6. Bucks will host the Heat. I think this is a scary matchup for the Bucks. Really a scary matchup because I think that the Heat, they're one of those teams, and again, I wish I would have went back and listened to our prediction episode. I remember saying that the Heat would probably struggle.
I think we both had them at 5 or 6. I think we both had them there.
But we knew they'd be a threat long term.
Yeah, they were basically a team that said, we're going to get to the playoffs. We don't care where we're seated, and then we're going to try and turn it on again like we did in the bubble. They were never going to be a regular season team. Tyler Harrow, can he recreate that magic? I'll let you give your game pick first, though, on who you think wins.
Oh, boy.
And you better not say the Heat. We're watching the series together live then if you're taking the Heat, because Bucks are beating them.
I'm not taking the Heat, but this is a fun series. It's definitely going 7. You just said 5.
I think the Bucks dismantle the Heat.
This is the best Bucks team we've seen, just like it's been the best Sixers team. This is the best Bucks team, which is weird because they're the 3 seed, and they've been the 1 seed I think twice already.
The top 3 in the East are mountains.
Yes.
But I just think Giannis, he's actually done a much better job being able to stretch the floor. He's developed a jumper if you lay off of him.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday was a massive upgrade for the Bucks. He's going to help them tremendously in this series, both offensively and defensively. And their midseason pickup of PJ Tucker, a defender and another guy who catches kick-out passes and just hits threes from the corner. They have quite a few guys who can extend. And honestly, I think this is the year where we let them give Chris Middleton the ball a little bit more. He was monstrous at the beginning of the season. Then they let Giannis kind of take over. I think Chris Middleton does well. I think Miami was a little bit of a fluke. They're a hard-working team. I don't think they can recreate the magic. I've got Milwaukee in 5. I think it'll only take 5.
It seems like every year there's that series that goes 7, and for me it's this one. I think Milwaukee is very talented, but I just think Miami is just hard nosed, rugged. They have the 3-point ability that Milwaukee has, but not to the extent that other teams do. I think that's one thing they really lack as far as just being really good at. Um, I don't know. I like Milwaukee, but in 7, I think the Heat give them every bit of what they want and need.
I don't like it.
We'll save your favorite for last. Let's go 3-6 here. Denver is hosting Portland. Okay. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum finished the year, I believe, winning 12 of their last 15 games, which is the best in the league.
They're on fire. They're on
Yes.
fire.
They basically told LeBron to F off. We're not letting you get back in. You're playing the play-in. They put the pedal to the metal.
This one guy went public on Twitter and told Damian Lillard he had like a massive bet for them to win like 40 some games.
He told
And
him he
Dame
put his
said,
house
"Say
up.
no more." Yeah, he said, "Say no more," and they won like 12 out of 15. Like it was crazy.
He said the Blazers had to win 42 games where he was going to lose his house, meaning he
And
bet his home.
like they had to win 10 of they had to win 10 of their last 16. Dame
Yeah.
said, "Say no more." Got hurt, came back, and they won 12 of their last 15. What a guy!
After it was that night after the game, Dame tweeted at the guy, "Show me the winning ticket." So who knows how much the dude actually put up, if he was serious or not. But spoiler alert: Portland's taking this series over Denver. Denver's gonna miss Jamal Murray huge.
Here too. I like this. And what's crazy is if we do have the Lakers at 7 and Portland at 6, I think we could see 2 upsets in the first round. Denver, no Jamal Murray. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. is that guy yet. And Jokic, Portland's got some pretty good bigs that are decent that could give them trouble that don't need to use their effort on the scoring and they can focus solely on defense. And when I believe the story of this series is going to be, we're going to look at the Nuggets team when Jokic is on the floor versus when he is off. And when he is off the floor, I think Portland just takes it to him. I like this to be a long series, 6-7 games. But I expect to see a couple Dame time moments in this series.
I also really like this series because Carmelo Anthony's playing the Nuggets.
Well, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, in the playoffs. I think it's an underrated story nobody's really talking about. I think that's really cool. But it's gonna be Dame time, CJ McCollum, and there's just Jamal Murray isn't there to score 30 or 40 like he was last year when they were struggling against Utah. Portland has 2 guys in the backcourt. Who's taking those on? I don't have an answer. I'm taking Portland.
I like Portland the upset as well. We got Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, and LeBron all in the playoffs right now. What is happening?
Right?
It's 2006.
Right? Where's Dwayne Wade? Where's Chris Bosh? Last series here, and we'll wrap her up. Clippers, 4 seed. Dallas Mavericks, 5 seed. I know where you're going.
What do you mean?
I'm just interested to hear how. Let's hear it.
Mavs in 4. They're the better team. Honestly, guys, take integrity here. There's not a series I'm not taking the Mavericks. But with that being said, I think these guys had an interesting rivalry that blossomed last year in the playoffs. And what were people saying? Luka hits a massive dagger against the Clippers. The series is going good. Kristaps Porzingis for nothing gets chucked out of the game. Then he was having a monster series. Then gets hurt, misses the rest of the series, and it's close games. The Clippers this year statistically have been the worst team late in games. And as much as they preach on their defense, the Mavericks are one of the top offensive teams in the league. I believe Luka's going to play well. I think Kristaps will play good. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the key here for the Mavericks. If he plays well, if he gives them 20 points a game, which he can do, I like Dallas to win this series. But if everyone's fully healthy, this series has 6 to 7 games written all over it. everyone thinks the Clippers should be higher than 4, and I believe most people, at least the way they talk to me, whether it's just like getting at me about Luka, I believe most people think Dallas isn't as good as a 5, and they think this is a mismatch. This game is much closer than you think, and I will be watching very closely in hopes that Luka can win his first playoff series. I like the Mavericks here. Clippers are no team that you want to be playing, though.
I agree the Clippers should be higher. They purposely tanked to avoid the Lakers these last 2 games. They lost to 2 of the 3 worst teams in the entire league.
Couldn't have made it more obvious.
Yes, they purposely tried to avoid the Lakers. But I disagree. I think the Mavericks are a 5 seed. I think that the friend of the show, Luka Doncic, was listening to the pod earlier in the year when he heard me smack talk him. He said he heard me say that he's Russell Westbrook with a jumper, and he heard that, and he turned it on from that day forward, and he's been a dog. And they're not going to win this series, but it's going to be probably. I think it's probably the most fun series to watch because this one's going 7-2. I'm almost positive Bucks Heat's going 7. I'm almost positive this one's going
7. Luka knows that I just recently bought a house and I'll be moved in the next 2 weeks. And he's going to give me a little present, a little housewarming gift, a little victory over the Clippers. We're going to the second round. So I'm excited. I know he's excited. I know y'all are excited because I'll be giving you guys the business on the Facebook page. Give it back if you want to, but
between Rick Carlisle and Ty Lue, this is 2 championship coaches. This is going to be a great series. And I never thought I'd say this, but Dallas has the best player on the floor. He's better than Kawhi Leonard. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. Last year, I wouldn't have said that. But it's true. I mean, Luka's better than Kawhi. So,
the Clippers answer when Dirk Nowitzki checks in the game, comes out of retirement, boom, comes in the low post. Do they have anybody who can stop Dirk in the low post?
Oh my gosh!
Can't
wait to you. I can't with you. Well, that wraps up the first round.
We'll see if playoff P shows up or not because he has not really been too good in the playoffs. So
he hasn't been good the last couple seasons. Average play. We're getting average play out of Paul George.
He is lightning in a bottle, is what he is.
Yeah, I guess.
At this point, I would say Jason Tatum is the new Paul George, or they were in the same spot. A couple. Well, but what I'm saying is, you take 4 or 5 years ago when he was at Indiana, and Paul George is the next big guy coming up. Similar size, similar build, similar kind of play style. I like Tatum myself is a little bit more, but I just think they're a similar comp. But we'll see. It's always fun. Playoffs start officially tonight because the play-in tournament does count.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we just wrapped up pretty much the entire first round, but we'll probably be back to talk about what we've seen so far on Tuesday. Obviously, we got play-in matchups that'll be finalized by then, so we'll have locked in 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7 seeds we'll be able to talk more about. Though I have a feeling I predicted them all right. Brad probably missed 1 game because I don't think the Spurs are winning. But other than that, we'll be back. I hope you guys enjoyed the NBA talk, and good luck to your favorite team. Unless they're not in, they suck like the Pistons.
Ouch.
All right,
take it easy, guys.
We're out. See ya.